I always thought I would get back to the UFC, but I didn't know it would be this tough to get back. I made it to the UFC in 2 years the first time around. And I was outside of the UFC fighting in these other organizations trying to, make a comeback to the UFC, and it took me 6 years. 6 years and 11 fights. So it was tough to get back here, but I think that time outside helped, forge the man that I am today, and that has me more prepared for this fight coming up against Hector Lombard at UFC 182 than I've ever been, before. Hector Lombard's coming in. He's won a couple fights against big welterweights, and he's a guy. I think he's ranked number 6 in the world, right, in the UFC. So if I was him, I would want one of those top 5 guys too. I think what he's missing is that I'm every bit as good as those guys in the top 5. Yet the reward is not as big, and a lot of guys didn't want to fight Hector Lombard, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity that I got to do it, and he'll realize very soon, that I'm a little better than he thought. Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for me. Again, that's why I think he's justified in saying, man, I wish I had a higher ranked opponent, somebody that was a little bit more up there. Me, I'm fighting a guy who's got a lot of steam right now. Guys don't want to fight him. I mean, what better opportunity to walk in and fight a guy that, people don't want to fight, that's on a winning streak. The upside for me is huge, and I'm gonna, I'll make the most of that opportunity. I started out training with Randy early on in my career before the UFC up in Oregon. I was under Robert Follis, trained with Dennis Davis, Chris Leben, Evan Tanner, all those guys up there all the way back in 2004. So when Randy came out here and opened up the gym, I came from Utah up here to train with those guys. So I was here, back when Randy was beating Tim Sylvia and towards the end of his career. Then I moved home to just kind of go home and settle, and that's when I had my neck injuries, and I had lost 3 in a row in the UFC. So I just kind of wanted to go home and reinvent myself, I guess. And when I was fighting in the World Series of Fighting, I was sitting there talking to Robert Follis, and Follis said, I'm back out here at Extreme Couture, and I wanted to come out and see what him and Dennis Davis were doing. And when I came out to the practices were like I remembered them being back in the day at Team Quest, and I knew that coming out here training with Dennis Davis, training underneath Robert Follis again, that could help me, get back to an elite level and be an elite welterweight. And so that's what I came out to do. I mean, you got, guys from, up and comers that are working hard as anybody works, to the pros that are working smart and, fighting at the highest level. So you have a little bit of everything, and the young guys, they push us old guys, because they want to go. They go from team practice to putting their gis on to putting their belts on, and so that helps, keep you young, keep you motivated, and keep you hungry. So it's a good mix of guys out here at Extreme Couture.